isn't in Africa with the gold and the diamonds, isn't in Saudi Arabia with the oil, isn't in the rich, fertile plains of the United States. It's in the cemeteries just down the street. That's where all the dreams, all the hopes, all the songs that were never sung, all the things that could have been have now died and are buried. Are we there? Have we buried our dreams? Have we lost our hopes? Have we silenced our voices so that songs no longer come? But then Jesus appears. You've got this man who is filled with demons. Now, we can debate what demons are. Personally, I believe that they're real spiritual beings. That they sometimes have more control than what we give them credit for. Now, no, I am not one of those persons who believes that there's a demon under every rock, and anytime we turn up anything, there's going to be a demon there. That's nonsense. And I don't believe that we ought to be afraid of demons, because we serve someone who is so much more powerful than all the demons on earth. So it's not a fear kind of thing. Nor is it kind of abdicating all of our responsibility to the demons. You've heard me say before, it's kind of the old Flip Wilson thing. The devil made me do it. Yeah, sometimes you just chose to do it. But sometimes the devil did. Jesus encounters this man, and he is demonic, it says. But he recognizes Jesus. Now, isn't that something? First thing he does is he runs toward Jesus, and he says, Jesus, Son of God, don't torture me. That isn't what he was coming for, was it? Well, at least not for the man. Don't torture me. Instead, he says, let me stay in this area. Why don't you send me over to the pigs over there? All odd things. Why would that happen? Why is that dialogue in there? Why would Mark care? Remember what we said earlier? There's no unrelated facts in here. They mean something. Think about it. The Gerasenes are a heathen place. They're a place that didn't know who God was, didn't know who Jesus was. And they lived their lives that way. They were very, it says, rude, crude, and unkept. So why would they want to stay there in that area? Well, you know, it's easier for demons to take control. It's easier for them to do their work if you're not looking to Jesus. If he'd sent him out of the region, he might have sent him someplace where God's power was influential. That would have been hard. So instead, Jesus, keep us right here. In fact, we'll make you a deal. You can even send us into the pigs. I wonder whether that was some kind of reference toward the Jewish background that they had. Remember, Jews didn't eat pigs. Okay, they were safe there. Put us there, and then we can get back into the people later on. And it wasn't just one or two. When it's asked his name, it says, my name is Legion, for we are many. Well, it said Roman legions were about 6,000. Now, I don't know if it was 6,000, but it's saying, there's a lot of us in here. Like there were so many, it was probably getting crowded. Probably the pigs are starting to look good. You're all asleep, aren't you? But Jesus does what he says. He says, that's fine. And he casts them into the swine. The only thing is, it drives the pigs crazy, and they jump off the cliff and into the water, and they all drown. It's like trying to keep something without a vessel. They're gone. So what did that have to say? Well, it says Jesus not only had power over the wind and the waves, over all of nature, over all of creation, he also has power over the spiritual realm as well, doesn't he? The demons were afraid of him. They said, we can't go anywhere without your permission, and we acknowledge who you are. First thing they did was they ran to Jesus. And then they didn't leave until Jesus gave them permission. They recognized that he was a king, that he was over them. Jesus' power extends to the spiritual realm. But finally, you get this last two miracles that kind of tie together. After this, it says he meets up with a man by the name of Jairus. And he comes pleading. He's a religious leader, and this has got to be hard for him. You know, these are the ones that have been pursuing Jesus, and now he's coming and he's saying, you know what, nothing else is working. I'm going to give this a try because this man I know has power. It's amazing what we'll do for our kids, isn't it? There's nothing too big that we won't do. Nothing we won't sacrifice, even our dignity, even our pride. And Jairus comes to Jesus and he begs him, come. I know all you have to do is just speak or touch or do something with the mud or whatever it is that you do. And my daughter will be healed. Jesus says yes, so he's on his way. Now on the way, the crowd continues to push in, and it says there were hundreds, if not thousands of people that are now pushing in on Jesus, and all of a sudden he stops. He says, who touched me? Okay, you've seen one of these entourages of people from Hollywood during the red carpet kinds of things. Can you imagine one of them stopping and say, who touched me? 1,000 hands go up, say, well, it might have been me. Same with Jesus. The difference is he noticed that there was a drain of power. He noticed that something was different. He noticed that something outside the human perception had taken place. A woman had grabbed the hem of his robe. That's it. She'd use every last bit of strength that she had to push through the crowd, to find a path, to get to Jesus, and then fell and grabbed the hem of his robe for but a brief moment. And she's healed. When Jesus says, who touched me? She stands up and says, it was I. Now Jesus carries on a conversation with her here. Can you imagine where Jairus is at in all of this? Jesus, remember my daughter? Remember she's dying? This is all well and good. We can get on with this later. Yes, she touched you. But remember my daughter? Could you get back to that? Because time is of the essence. If you don't get there now, she could die. And Jesus continues to make contact with this woman. Why? Because there's nothing that Jesus won't do for any one of us. And when we are in his view, we are the only one in his view. He ministers to each one of us as though we were the only person on earth. What a great king. Now, as a result of that, Jairus is exactly right. His daughter dies. He gets to the house, and not only the family is wailing and crying and in bereavement, but all of the hired grievers, yeah, they did that kind of thing back then. We hire funeral homes, they hired criers. They're all there too. And they're crying and they're weeping and they're wailing because they know that this little girl has died. It's all been confirmed. She's now up in her room. She's lying on her bed, ready for burial. And what does Jesus do? He says, calm down, quiet down, get out of the house. You're going to wake her up. And they're going, what? Wake her up. And it says, they laughed at him. They laughed at him because they knew he was wrong. She wasn't asleep like he said. She was dead. What kind of a prophet is this? He doesn't even know the difference between somebody sleeping and somebody dying.